So one of the things that we are really passionate about at Praxis is thinking about what the major issues of our time are and supporting people who are addressing those. And clearly one of the larger things that's on the kind of global mind right now is North Korea. As you've heard earlier at this conference, there's more to that crisis than it may seem. While the larger cultural narrative is a dictator that needs to be opposed, there's definitely a different lens that we can look through as far as what that country really is and then how we can actually get involved in it. There's only one organization in America right now that is significantly addressing the North Korean crisis. Equipped with a history of global advocacy and awareness experience, Justin Wheeler is going to come to the stage and tell you about liberty in North Korea.
All right. About 8 years ago, I worked for an organization called Invisible Children. During my 3.5 years there, I learned how dangerous the millennial generation is. Dangerous to the apathetic and pre-globalized way of living. I saw hundreds of thousands of students come together to stop a war criminal thousands of miles away from them. At the age of 20, I thought my career had peaked through this experience. And then this lady changed everything. Lisa Ling was on her show talking about a recent trip to North Korea. Lisa talked about a system of indoctrination and propaganda that the regime uses to control its population. I was shocked and I wanted to learn more. So I began to watch and read everything I could find on North Korea. On top of the brainwashing, millions of people are starving, and up to 1 million have already starved from this food crisis. And the North Korean regime is one of the most repressive regimes in the world today, denying the most basic and fundamental human rights. Rights like movement, speech, and religion. And the North Korean people are among the most isolated people in the world, with no access to information about the outside world, since the government bans the internet and technology like cell phones and whatnot. And then I learned about these, a network of political prison camps used to instill fear and to punish any and all form of dissent. The conditions in these camps are horrific, where torture and execution and rape are commonplace. So I went to the border of North Korea and China with my wife. I knew that there were up to 50,000 North Korean refugees in hiding because they had legally escaped their country. One of the first refugees I met was Mi-sun. Her story is unimaginable. At the age of 11, she was orphaned and had to care for her 2 younger siblings. With no options and really no one to turn to, she made the dangerous escape out of North Korea into China to find a way to provide for her family. But like many North Korean females, as soon as she was across the border, she was trafficked and sold to a Chinese man who was more than 20 years older than her. He would loan her out to karaoke bars and sex chatting services to make money off of her. At the age of 22, when I first met Mi-sun, she was still owned by this Chinese man. On my way home, I felt this inexplicable guilt for not being able to do more to help Mi-sun. So when I got back to the States, I teamed up with Liberty in North Korea, and together with the CEO, we launched an effective strategy to pursue an end to this crisis by focusing on the North Korean people rather than the politics. So we started with awareness. And from my past experience at Invisible Children, I knew that if we could mobilize students, we would make great impact. So we launched an awareness strategy and hired a creative team to produce media and campaigns to reach the masses. We wanted to go everywhere in North America, so we launched a national tour program. Every spring and fall, we send 5 teams across North America to visit hundreds of high schools, colleges, and churches. We didn't want to be all talk and no action, so we asked our supporters to help us save lives. We told them for $2,500, they could bring 1 refugee like Mi-sun to freedom. So we launched a refugee rescue program. Today, we utilize a dangerous 3,500-mile-long modern-day underground railroad to smuggle refugees out of China and into Southeast Asia and then ultimately to freedom. Since 2010, we have rescued 141 refugees through this dangerous modern-day underground railroad and have reunited 41 of them with their families. We don't stop with rescues. Once refugees make it to South Korea and the United States, our team on the ground provides assistance through mentorship and one-on-one tutoring, through financial aid for scholarships and basic necessities, and casework to offer customized assistance as they navigate new systems in a new country. Today, we're serving over 100 North Korean refugees in both countries. And they've helped us identify just how crucial their role is in opening up North Korea. Today, there are up to 25,000 North Korean refugees living in South Korea. And they're serving as a bridge back into their country as they're sending information about the outside world and roughly $10 to $15 million a year to their families. These resources are opening up North Korea from the bottom up. Min Sung is an example of this. Just 1 year after we rescued him, he had established contact with his family still in North Korea and had sent them $10,000. This has allowed his family to break apart from the regime, which is important. Men and others like him are reaching thousands of North Koreans in one of the most isolated countries today. Though they have no access to internet, this is their social network. Understanding and believing this to be an enormous opportunity to change North Korea, we want to help as many North Korean refugees as possible, because pursuing liberty in North Korea is our ultimate vision. And we believe that the North Korean people will produce this change from the inside out and from the bottom up. That's why our goal is to rescue 1,000 refugees as soon as possible, not only to bring more people to freedom, but to help accelerate these changes that are happening on the ground level. And tonight, we want to invite you to join us as we come alongside the North Korean people and to empower them in their pursuit for liberty in North Korea. Thank you so much.